I'm sitting next to a very large speaker. It's so big, there's no way that I'm going to get it all in and you're going to see me. I would be so tiny if you saw all of the speaker. So I got to be big. It's my video. Anyway, this is the PBN Audio MR exclamation point 777 speaker system. It's made in San Diego, California. The designer is Peter Norbeck. And I got to say, Peter doesn't fool around. Not at all. I had a nice conversation with him a couple of days ago, and he does make speakers starting around $2,200. But I don't know. I'm feeling like I got to get big sometimes. I want to be on the extreme of high-end audio. You know, I like reviewing affordable gear. I really do. It is my passion. But sometimes I got to go over and experience ultimate audio. And that's what I'm doing here today at my friend Greg's place. He's reviewing these speakers for positive feedback. They're $85,000. They weigh 490 pounds each. In the crates, actually, they weigh a lot more, like closer to 700 pounds. So they're into the big. By the way, you know how big they are? There's two 18-inch woofers in this speaker. This speaker here, this is a mid-range driver. This is a 12-inch mid-range driver. That's kind of crazy, don't you think? It's crazy. It's weird. But it works. And this is a 6-inch ribbon. Now, the back of the speaker, which I'm showing you a picture of right now, has a plexiglass panel, and you see this incredible crossover network. It looks like sculpture is going on back there. Peter's very proud of those crossovers for good reason. So it's a lot to take in. I think that's what I'm saying here, right? So I'm sitting here with Greg for a couple hours playing music. We finished with this Ellington Indigos LP. We were mostly listening to CDs, but this record is one of those, it's not about wham bam music. It's just about elegance and space and mood and jazz, and it just takes you places. That's what makes it amazing. Now, you could listen to this music on any decent hi-fi and you'd be moved by it. But when you hear it on something like this speaker, the difference is, and it's not about loud, the difference is that you just hear into the recording more. You're more aware of what each musician is doing. You're more aware of how they're listening to each other. You're in the recording. That's the difference. And that's a huge difference. And it is, I guess it really is about size. So that's what size gets you. Now, hey, not everybody's going to get to live with these speakers. I don't even get to live with these speakers. And I think my building's floors couldn't support two 490-pound speakers. So there's no way I'm ever going to get them. That's why I'm here at Greg's place. Greg's definitely, this is a very solid building. But in any case, this was an experience. But I also played a recording that I was present at. I referred to this one recently, Like As a Heart. It's a choral recording. It's a Chesky recording. It was done in a big church in New York City, maybe 20 years ago. And it is an organ, the church's organ, and it's all about scale and size and space. So you have this choir of 25 people, and the organ's going down, and it's just so ethereal. And, you know, choral recordings can sound kind of hard and overly aggressive. In real life, choirs don't sound hard ever, but recordings can sound hard because the music is so complex. The sound of that choir is so complex, the harmonics of all those voices. Something's going on that makes it hard for even good speakers to handle that the way this speaker did. And that was definitely goosebump territory. And then I played this Wendy Carlos record. Actually, I woke up this morning with Wendy Carlos on my mind. I didn't have Bullfrogs on my mind. I had Wendy Carlos on my mind. And she made this record, Bach 2000, but she didn't make it in the year 2000. She made it in 1992. She was famous for making a breakout classical music recording in the 60s called Switched on Bach. And this is kind of an update on Switched on Bach. So there's a lot of new technology between the 60s and the 90s, and this recording takes advantage of all of that. There's no microphones used to make a recording like this. It's all taken direct. But the advantage of that is the transients and just this energy, this percussive, purely electronic sounds that she's creating from the deepest bass to high tinkling percussion. It's really extraordinary and incredibly spacious. Wendy is, I met her a few times. We didn't get along, actually. That's a story for another time. But she is into surround sound and stereo imaging and stuff. So even though this is an entirely electronic recording without any microphones or any actual space, she put space into the recording. It's incredibly open and deep and very, 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 very dense. And I was saying to Greg, you could play this recording on anything and it would be interesting. But when you play it on a big system, it just opens up. It just brings everything up and it just changes everything. Now, I listened to it before I got here to Greg's apartment. I played it at home on the clipped Cornwall 4s. They're pretty big speakers. They're little pipsqueak speakers compared to these guys. So whatever I was getting over the Cornwalls, which is pretty damn good, a pale comparison to what's coming out of these PBN speakers that Peter somehow conjured and made in San Diego. So goosebump territory. Matter of fact, talking about it right now, I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about the sound coming out of these speakers. And last, and far from least, is Charlie Hunter. Charlie's playing this electric guitar that's also a bass. It has 8 strings, and he's accompanied by a drummer. And they're just sort of jamming and working things out. Whatever my system was at that time, and I actually have no memory of what it was, but whatever it was, when I got this recording, this music didn't do a thing for me. It just was like, I like Charlie, it's cool, it's an interesting idea, but I don't get it. This record does nothing for me. And over the years, I've come back to it a couple of times, and still didn't click for me. And then I started playing it a month or so ago on the Cornwalls, and definitely it was working. It definitely, it took me there. I felt the energy between Charlie and his drummer, Scott Andola, and now I really, really like it. I really like this record. And especially for Charlie's bass, it just has this soul to it, this movement that I wasn't getting before. So now I really like this record, and it needs big speakers. It needs big speakers to really strut its stuff. Maybe that's what I'm trying to get out here. It just needs some scale and size and power to make the music connect. It did for me. So that's what this is about today. Big speakers, whether they're Cornwalls or these MR exclamation point 777 speakers. Yeah, if you can swing it, if you can swing large, whatever large means to you, yeah, go for that. Size does matter in speakers. Little speakers can sound good. Of course, as I've pointed out many times, the trick with little speakers is to get really close to them, as close as you possibly can, 3 feet away from them. The closer you are to a little speaker, the bigger it is in proportion. So if you can't swing any kind of big speaker, near field listening, close-up listening is the workaround solution. But if you can go from whatever size you have now to a bigger speaker, at least temporarily, buy a used big speaker just to have the experience of living with something really large. And if you're a person of means, as they say, and you can swing $85,000, yeah, get these, definitely. My name is Steve Guttenberg. This is the Audiophiliac Daily Show coming to you 5 or 6 days a week right now. If you like it, please subscribe to this YouTube channel. Hit that little button right down there. You can follow me on Twitter at AudiophiliacMan. You can follow me on Instagram at steve.guttenberg. And if you like what I do, check out my Patreon at patreon.com/audiophiliac. And as always, thank you so much for watching. See you again real soon.